All right, team, welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. Today, I'm really excited to dive into some cutting-edge stuff. I've been poring over the latest research on digital trends, and honestly, it's fascinating. I've even leveraged some advanced AI, yeah, you heard that right, to break down the core insights. This way, we can get straight to the actionable strategy. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. We've analyzed the latest data on the core mechanics of business to help you sharpen your strategic thinking. Today, we're going to break down the entire blueprint. I mean, everything, from the tiniest startup to the biggest global titans, all in one powerful explainer. So, let's dive right in. At its heart, this is really what it's all about. Business isn't just, buying and selling stuff. It is the fundamental engine that builds our modern world. It's the reason you've got a supercomputer in your pocket and why a package can show up at your door in less than a day. And that engine, believe it or not, runs on a very specific and surprisingly simple formula. This right here, this is the North Star. Every single business decision, every strategy, every ad campaign you see is all designed to tweak one of these three things. Revenue is the money coming in, costs, the money going out, and profit is whatever's left over. If you can get your head around this, you understand the foundation of, well, everything. Okay, so let's start at the top of that equation, revenue. Money doesn't just magically appear. It's generated through specific, deliberate strategies we call business models. And the very first question any business has to answer is, how are we actually going to make money? Well, the first big fork in the road is deciding who you're selling to. Are you B2C, selling iPhones or Netflix subscriptions directly to people like you and me? That whole game is about brand and making quick decisions. Or are you B2B, selling something like software or airplanes to other huge companies? That's all about building relationships and navigating these long, complex sales cycles. This one choice changes everything. Now, there's one model in particular that has completely transformed the digital economy, and that's subscriptions. Instead of a one-time sale, you get predictable, recurring revenue coming in every single month. Honestly, understanding the power of recurring revenue is a core part of the TNT digital mindset. It's absolutely non-negotiable for success today. And hey, the data doesn't lie. Just look at this. Subscription-based companies grew 5 times faster than the S&P 500 over the last decade. That's not just some small trend. It is a seismic shift in how value gets created. Investors love the predictability, and the businesses themselves are built on that stable cash flow. Of course, subscriptions aren't the only way to do it. You could be a marketplace, like an Airbnb or Uber, just taking a little slice for connecting people. You could use a freemium model, like Spotify does, getting millions of people on a free plan and hoping to convert a few of them to paying customers. Or you could go direct to consumer, skipping the middleman to really boost those profit margins. Each one has its own playbook. All right, so we've talked about the money coming in, but revenue is only half the story, right? Now we got to talk about the money going out. I know, revenue's the sexy part, costs are boring, but let me be really clear about this. Costs are what kill most businesses. So, to manage your costs, you have to know that they're not all created equal. First, you've got COGS, or cost of goods sold. That's the direct cost of the actual thing you sell. For coffee, it's the beans in the cup. Simple. Then you have OPEX, or operating expenses. This is all the other stuff you've got to pay for just to keep the lights on, like rent, salaries, marketing. You have to pay these even if you don't sell a single thing. And all this comes together in what we call the profit funnel. So you start way up at the top with all your revenue. Then you subtract the direct costs, your COGS, and boom, you've got gross profit. After that, you subtract all the operating costs, your OPEX, to get your operating profit. And finally, after you pay taxes and all that, what's left at the very, very bottom is your net profit, the famous bottom line. And that bottom line, it looks very different depending on what business you're in. A software company might get to keep 20 cents of every single dollar as pure profit. But a retail store, man, they might only keep 3 cents. This is exactly why profit margin, the percentage you actually keep, is often way more important than how much revenue you bring in. Okay, so we've got a business model to make money, and we're keeping an eye on our costs. But a business model is just a static plan without any fuel. And that fuel, it's customers. And there are 2 core functions that bring them in the door and keep them happy: marketing and operations. Now, to measure the health of this growth engine, there are 2 numbers you absolutely need to know, cold. First is your customer acquisition cost, or CAC. Simple question: how much money does it cost you to get one new person to buy from you? Second is your lifetime value, or LTV. Okay, so once you've got that customer, how much total money will they bring in over their entire time with your business? And this, my friends, leads us to the golden rule of sustainable growth. Your LTV has to be at least 3 times your CAC. So if you spend $50 to get a customer, they need to generate at least $150 in value for you over time. If not, you don't have a growth engine. You just have a leaky bucket that's losing money. Mastering this ratio is a core tenet of the TNT Digital Mindset. All right, theory's great, but let's apply this whole framework to 2 of the biggest companies on the entire planet. Let's see how these universal rules of revenue, cost, and growth play out at the absolute highest level with Apple and Amazon. This is going to be fun. Just look at these numbers for a second. It's kind of wild, right? Amazon makes way more in total revenue, but Apple makes over 3 times as much in pure profit. This one table tells an incredible story of 2 completely different philosophies. Apple is a high-margin, profit-making machine. Amazon is a lower-margin beast built for one thing: relentless growth. So here's the Apple playbook. No surprise, it's dominated by the super high-margin iPhone. But look closer. See that growing services slice? That's stuff like the App Store, iCloud, Apple Music. That's high-margin, reoccurring revenue that locks customers into their world. It's a fortress of profitability. Now look at Amazon's chart. Totally different story. E-commerce is the giant slice, obviously, but it runs on razor-thin margins. So what's the real secret? It's AWS, their cloud computing business. It's only 16% of their revenue, but it generates most of the company's profit. They use that profit engine to fund the growth of everything else. So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. One company maximizes profit on every single sale to build this incredibly premium brand. The other captures as much territory as humanly possible, using a hidden profit engine to fund its relentless expansion. 2 titans, 2 radically different playbooks. So let's bring it all home. What's the blueprint? It all starts with that simple formula. Revenue minus costs equals profit. Your revenue model decides how you make money. Your margins tell you if you're actually keeping it. And your growth? It all hinges on that golden LTV to CAC ratio. And these aren't just textbook theories. These are the laws of physics that even the biggest companies in the world have to obey. Which really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. As we look to the future, which strategy is going to win? Is it the Apple model of premium products and huge profits? Or is it the Amazon model of massive scale, constant reinvestment, and market domination? The answer to that is going to shape the next decade of business. If you want to master the digital economy, make sure to subscribe to TNT Digital Mindset. Thanks for listening.